So now we're going to get started with Postman. So if you don't have Postman, you can go to, I believe it's getpostman.com and download it. It's cross-platform, it's free, and it's just great for working with APIs. So the first thing that I want to do here is create a new collection for our API. So we're going to call this ProShop, and we'll just say ProShop shopping cart API. So we'll create that. Now we can also have separate folders in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a folder, and this is going to be anything to do with products. So we'll say all routes that have to do with products, and create. So we already have two product routes. Let's create those. So here we can say add request, and let's call this, what I usually like to do is put the method, so it's a get request, and then the endpoint, which is going to be API/products, and then we'll say in here get all products. And now we have this request. So if I click on this, you'll see a tab open up like this, and we can make our request here. So HTTP, actually it's already right here in the drop down, so it's localhost 5000 API products, and it's a get request, and you can make all types of requests. So let's send, and you can see we get our data back. It's the same stuff we saw in the browser, but it's nicely formatted. It shows us the status over here, it shows us the time, the size, preview. So if it's HTML, you can actually see the rendered HTML. So this is very powerful because you can make all types of requests. From a browser, you can basically only do get, or you can have a form that makes post requests. Here we can do put for updates, delete. If we want to send headers, we can send that here. If we want to send data in the body as form data or raw JSON, we can do that as well. Now, one thing I'd like to do is for this localhost 5000, so we don't have to keep putting this in, I want to create an environment variable. So up here you can see it says no environment. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and I'm sorry, not that, the settings right here, and click add, and I'm going to call this ProShop env, and I want to add a global variable of URL, and the initial value is going to be HTTP localhost port 5000. And this way, when we deploy, if you want to use Postman for that, you can just simply change this to the domain name and it'll work. So let's click add, and that should do it. Now over here I'm going to select ProShop env, and I'm going to replace this localhost 5000 with my variable. Now when you use a variable, it's going to be wrapped in double curly braces. So in here we'll just say URL. So now I should be able to send, and I get the same response back. Now I want to save this request as is, so I'm going to go over here and just click save, so I can always come back and make this request again. Now we want to do the same thing for a single product, so I'm going to add another request here, and let's say get from API products, and it's going to have an ID. So we'll say get single product by ID, and let's open that up, and I'm going to paste this in, and we need a specific ID. So I'm going to go back to our this API products and grab one of these IDs, and let's go back over here and paste that in. And if I send, I should get that single product. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And again, if I put something in here that's not correct, we get product not found. Now, we do have a default error handler with Express, and I can actually fire that off if this is not a formatted object ID. Right now it is. It's not an actual ID in the database, but it's formatted correctly. If I just put a 1 here, and I send, you'll see that we get back a 500 internal server error, and we get the actual error, which is cast to object ID failed, but it's loading an HTML page. Okay, this is actually HTML. what we want to send back is a JSON response for all errors that look like the one I just showed you. It has just the message in it, and then that way we can bring that into our application if we need to. And we don't want to serve any HTML from our back end. It's just a JSON API. So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and create a custom error handler so that we don't have to deal with this. We get our own custom JSON message.